Welcome viewers to the session. We are joined by Suresh Kochattil. Welcome.
Namaskar.
Yeah. Sureshji, there's a lot happening in India as well as outside that threatens to derail whatever Modi ji and India are doing in a positive manner. And I take you to the first point, which is Rahul Gandhi is attempting to generate unnecessary controversy by asserting a connection between Savarkar and Nathuram Godse, Mahatma Gandhi's assassin. In an affidavit filed in the MP MLA court in Pune, Rahul Gandhi accused Satyaki Savarkar, who filed a defamation lawsuit against the Congress leader, has concealed the fact that his mother, Imani, was the daughter of Gopal Godse, the real brother of Nathuram Godse, according to live law. Now, through advocate Milind Pawar, Gandhi noted that Satyaki presented only his paternal lineage and while omitting his maternal family connections. Gandhi pointed out that Satyaki is the son of Ashok Savarkar, who was the nephew of Vinayak Savarkar. So now this has also upset, the Mahavikas Agadi in Bombay, in Maharashtra, who are their partners. So we were talking about Uddhav Thackeray's party. Yeah. What are your views on this?
So, going by the same logic, Meena, Rahul Gandhi is guilty of the 1984 Sikh riots because his father was the prime minister then. Okay, his grandmother, you look at the Nukhali riot, so many killings across the country that she had orchestrated during her rule. Nehru, okay, you can name number of riots that happened during his tenure, killings that happened during his tenure. So, is Rahul Gandhi guilty? Just because somebody is the brother or the wife or granddaughter or grandson or whatever it is, doesn't make that point person guilty by any stretch of imagination. I know which foolish guy drafted this. This is all the more important because just a few weeks ago, the Supreme Court had come down heavily on Rahul Gandhi and said, "Do you know who Savarkar is?" And they told Abhishek Manu Singhvi very clearly that if Rahul Gandhi utters a word about Savarkar again, his bail will be cancelled. That is what was said by the court. Now look, he's done the same thing again, but in a different format. Here he's not accusing Savarkar of anything. He's accusing the guy who's filed the petition of having a motive, which is so foolish, it's so childish, it is juvenile. And I don't know how this guy is a leader of opposition. I mean, he doesn't even have the basic sense, common sense. When you accuse somebody of something, there should be some logic to it. Why should somebody state in a petition who he is? Did Rahul Gandhi say that he is the son of Rajiv Gandhi, who orchestrated the 1984 riots that killed over 3,000 Sikhs? So he's equally guilty. Yes, Rahul Gandhi is also guilty. He got away with saying he was a kid then. So is this gentleman. Why should he be bothered about? This is what is the point is very simple. You abuse Savarkar. Okay? And you are being kind of having a suit against you for defamation. You answer that point. And that point is already taken up in the Supreme Court, which told Rahul Gandhi that your grandmother gave 10,000, I don't remember the exact amount, to the Savarkar Foundation. She even wrote a very, very, very appreciative letter of who Savarkar was. And she called him a freedom fighter. Issued a postal stamp in his honor. What does Rahul Gandhi want? The problem with Rahul Gandhi is very simple, that he has nothing to show of his own. So he goes after people who he thinks are Hindutva icons. Will this gentleman have the same guts to go after any Islamic leader? I mean, I'm amazed with this kind of he goes to Poonch to meet the victims of the bombing there. Okay, I have no issues with that. Did he go to Murshidabad? No, he didn't go because they were Hindus. In Poonch, of course, he went to a few Hindu homes, but that is only kind of photography thing. You remove the cameras and Rahul Gandhi will not go there. Today he's in Ladakh, I was told. This is what he does. That is why he remains there where he is and never can become the prime minister. Look at the way he's being childish in terms of kind of playing to the Pakistani tunes, which shockingly even Revant Reddy, the Telangana chief minister, kept repeating Shahbaz Sharif's statements today, saying that Pakistan had shot down a number of Rafales and we should know how many have been shot down. He's not even asking. He's saying it has happened. This is what it's happening. I mean, Rahul Gandhi should realize that what is happening with him will reflect in the Bihar elections, Assam elections, and every other elections from there on. Because when the entire nation is going toward one side, including people of his own party who are traveling with the delegations outside, Shashi Tharoor, Anand Sharma, you know, Manish Tiwari, they are all speaking one language, and Rahul Gandhi, uh, Pawan Khera, and Jairam Ramesh kind of have a kind of verbal diarrhea every day on Twitter. This is what is happening. They are going against the mood of the country. And sure enough, these people have not learned the lesson. When Pulwama happened, they accused Modi government of doing it. Till we recently saw that Pakistan themselves admitted it was a classic operation that they carried out. So what does Rahul Gandhi have to say now? He sat down with Satyapal Malik, whom we all know has an axe to grind against the BJP government, against Narendra Modi specifically, for having thrown him out from Jammu and Kashmir. And then what happened? That interview comes on Pakistan TV. So, Meena, I think what is happening is it's a good thing that Rahul is doing all this, because that actually strengthens the BJP and give BJP more votes in the elections to come. And surely enough, kind of situation that Congress finds itself now, I don't think they would do anywhere good in Bihar, because they're going to have a tough time convincing the voters there as to what they're doing or what they're not doing. And that is what is a sad fact about Rahul Gandhi, that he is such a big joker now. He has advisors like KC Venugopal, who are kind of no match to Ahmad Patel and the likes who used to advise Indira Gandhi and others. Imagine, this is the kind of politics that is being played out. He has no issues. The problem with him was for 4 days he kept quiet. He said, "We are with the Modi government. We are the national thing. We should be together." But the moment he saw that the entire credit for the Operation Sindoor was going to Narendra Modi, he kind of immediately backed up. He jumped the other side and he said, "No, no, 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 no. How many Rafales were shot down? Why is Jay Shankar, JJ, Joker Jay Shankar?" That is what he named him. Imagine this guy, a St. Stephen's product who got into St. Stephen through a sports quota. I don't know how many people know this. Rahul Gandhi got admission to St. Stephen's through sports quota. I don't know what sports he played to get there. Anyway, nevertheless, that is because his grandmother's influence that he got through there. But beyond that, what is Rahul Gandhi's qualification? Nothing. Where does he and Jaishankar stand on one thing? Now Congress is saying, "Oh, you know what? We did surgical strikes." Boss, who stopped you from claiming credit? At least name the places. So yesterday they put out a few places, and we saw half of them were inside India. So they're saying they conducted surgical strike within India. That is why I tweeted yesterday saying they must have used some Sevadal guys to do this. Because Army wouldn't say. Army in RTI has clearly said we have no information for any strike that were carried out earlier before 2016. Of course, a few generals who are kind of sympathetic to the Congress have said that we carried out the surgical strikes. What surgical strikes? Where? Give the details to us. How many were killed? At least Modi government did that. The problem is every time this happens, Rahul Gandhi wants proof. He wanted proof for the surgical strikes done in 2016. He wanted proof for Balakot. He wants proof for everything. But then, did the US parties, any of the Republican Party or any other party in the US or politicians, ask to see Osama bin Laden's body? They won't. Same goes for Israel. Did they ask for Yahya Sinwar's body? No, they won't.
But Sureshji, this time it's Pakistan who's giving the facts to Congress. So Pakistan Prime Minister is saying that BrahMos destroyed so many air bases, and they themselves are revealing everything. If Congress wants proof, I think Pakistan will prove that, isn't it?
Why? You just look up the you see this kind of satellite images that are there, and those satellite images clearly show what destruction has been done in various Pakistani Air Force bases and military installations. Even we had just very high resolution images even as late as 2 days ago, which clearly show the impact that these missiles have created, be it BrahMos or anything else that has created across the board. So this is what it is. I mean, the narrative that is being spun, I agree with you that we lost the narrative. I agree with you on that one. We lost the narrative post the strikes that we carried out on the 4 days, starting on 7th to 10th. The problem was because the Pakistani negative campaign was very, very good. They used our own media people. They used our own guys to kind of amplify their story. Imagine
Yeah,
Hindu,
absolutely.
of all the publications, which we know is the Chinese Communist Party newspaper, the Hindu put out a news saying we lost 3 Rafales. And when they were denied by the army and the air force and the armed forces by themselves, they immediately deleted the tweet. And what does Shabazz Sharif or their defense minister say? When asked where is the proof on a CNN interview, he said that is there on Indian social media.
Yeah.
There was the joker in Kerala, Matthew Samuel. He said something similar. He said 7 Rafales have been shot down. And when he was asked how, he said, I spoke to the Indian Air Force. Finally, it turns out it was nonsense and his channel was banned. Of course, he's back again now in news. This is what happens, you know. This amplification is more than Pakistan is being done on the Indian side. We have a joker of a field marshal sitting there, and we have a joker of a leader of opposition sitting this side, both speaking the same language. Shahbaz Sharif, I don't even consider him a joker. He's beyond it, actually.
So Sureshji, now Modi ji has played a master stroke. What he has done is he's picked up, like, assorted chocolates. He's picked up people from the opposition and sent them as ambassadors to different countries to say that to speak about Pakistan's aggression. Now the political future of Shashi Tharoor is a subject of considerable speculation, with many people saying that he's going to depart from Congress. Now, how Modi will utilize his services, also is slowly emerging. One scenario involves facilitating a split between Congress, within the Congress, potentially attracting other prominent leaders like Manish Tiwari and Sachin Pilot, who are reportedly dissatisfied with Rahul Gandhi's leadership. This new grouping could then form an alliance with the BJP in states where Congress holds significant influence, such as Kerala, Karnataka, and Telangana. Alternately, the option exists for Tharoor to directly join the BJP and be appointed as a minister. So, what are your thoughts on these points, Suresh?
Well, let me tell you, Shashi Tharoor, being a Keralite myself, Shashi Tharoor doesn't have any influence, political influence in Kerala. He won 4 elections from Thiruvananthapuram. That's great. Uh, his image plus the Congress vote bank, which is basically the Latin Christians who dominate the constituency outside Thiruvananthapuram. So if you recollect, in all the elections that were held, Lok Sabha election, the BJP was leading till the penultimate rounds. Just 3 rounds left, BJP was leading in Lok Sabha. And then they lost because that movement in most of the Latin Christian belt, that is the Nadar converted Nadar community outside Trivandrum, the BJP loses its votes. The Hindu votes are all concentrated in Trivandrum city. So Shashi Tharoor in Kerala can retain his seat at the best, but he doesn't have any influence beyond that. He's not a politician. I mean, he's a kind of a one-man army in Kerala. So BJP gaining any advantage out of it, maybe his seat would be an additional advantage to BJP, but the Congress will go all out to prevent any BJP candidate, including Tharoor, if he becomes one, from getting the Latin Christian votes. Unless BJP is able to pull off something spectacular, because the Munambam issue has impacted to a large extent the fishermen community. So BJP is able to do something by the 2026 assembly election or the 2029 Lok Sabha election. Then we will see something in Kerala which Shashi Tharoor can tell. Telangana, there's nothing much because Telangana BJP already has 8 MPs. So big deal about it. BJP is doing very well. Out of the 17, they have 8. Then you take the other constituencies. I mean, you're talking of Manish Tiwari and Sachin Pilot. Sachin Pilot will never join BJP because one, he has an issue with the BJP leadership in Rajasthan. And we saw this happening. We saw this happening from a long time. And he has an issue with Ashok Gehlot. He cannot quit. He's like a cat on the wall. He doesn't know which side to jump. That is what the situation is. Manish Tiwari, again, they are all loners. They are not people with mass following. They are like P. Chidambaram, basically. He can win Sivaganga, but he cannot go beyond Sivaganga. That's it. He or his son Karthi, whoever it is. So this is what it is. I mean, BJP doesn't need a mass leader right now because they have leaders in every state. If you remember, they won Haryana, an election which everybody said BJP will lose. Now tell me, did BJP project anybody there in Haryana saying he is our CM candidate? No, it was Modi ji's wave that happened. Maharashtra, okay, they had Fadnavis as a leader. They had Shinde as a leader. But still, BJP won an election which everybody said BJP would lose. So if you ask me, these Congress leaders who are supposed to come to BJP should come without any expectations. Shashi Tharoor's services, of course, will be utilized if he comes in. But Modi ji will never replace Jaishankar ji, that is for sure. And Shashi Tharoor will not play a second fiddle to Jaishankar. So he will have to be given some role which is very honorific, which kind of takes care of his talents. If he comes, that too. I doubt it very much because he knows very clearly the moment he comes to BJP in Kerala, the Christian vote is out. It's a different matter that Suresh Gopi won in Thrissur, which is my hometown. And he won there not because of the Hindu votes, which he anyway got. He won there because the Christians in Thrissur voted for him. And if that happens in Trivandrum, it does, because you remember there are only 3 to 4 constituencies or districts, you can say, where Hindus are in a majority. Kasargod was one, but now there's a huge Muslim migration to Kasargod and from Wayanad and from Malappuram, which has upset the entire demographic profile. So now BJP will find it very tough to win anything in Kasargod, be it an assembly or even a Lok Sabha election from that side. Palakkad is another one where, of course, BJP has been traditionally doing well. It runs the municipal corporation there. But there again, we saw what happened to Mr. Sridharan when he contested the election. Such a good candidate, and he lost purely because of the vote kind of division between CPM and Congress, which transferred the votes of the Muslims into their own parties. And that's what happened. Going further, if you look at other constituencies, Trivandrum is the only one which I spoke of as a safe bet. Beyond that, I don't see BJP doing well in Kerala anywhere else. Now, true, Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar is trying his best to build up. The problem is the entire population game is stacked up against the BJP. 43% Hindus are must be less than 43 now, because we never had a census after 2011. That time, Hindus were 47% of the population, divided between three parties: the Congress, CPM, and BJP. BJP gets about 16 to 18% vote share, which is the highest that is happening now in the last two elections. But beyond that, BJP cannot grow. That is the tragedy in Kerala. But I'm sure that these new entrants, which you named just now, 3 or 4 of them, will create their own impact individually. But you don't expect them to bring in 30, 40 MLAs with them, or even bring in huge percentage of votes. It doesn't happen that way.
Okay, okay. Now, Suresh, see, a dormant World War II air base in Lalmonihar in Bangladesh is being secretly revived by China for strategic purposes, just 12 kilometers from India and 135 kilometers from the critical Siliguri corridor. This move is described as an invasion in slow motion, threatening to sever India's northeastern states. Potential for Chinese military presence at this air base, combined with past calls to isolate the northeast and recent Pakistani ISI activity in the area, points to a coordinated effort to undermine India's security. While the situation is grave, India is actively aware of these unfolding patterns and is taking necessary countermeasures. Bangladesh is being secretly revived by China for strategic purposes. Suresh, do you see as many people are not aware, but this is something that is quite unnerving, isn't it?
Well, actually, even India is reviving a few Air Force bases, the old ones, the World War II Air Force bases. What China will seek to do, that is very obvious, but the problem is US will not allow China to come anywhere near there. As you're already aware, US is actually having a kind of trying to topple the regime in Myanmar. They're already moving huge amounts of equipment into the region, and definitely they would not like to have China anywhere in Bangladesh. So it's good. It's news that the Chinese went there, they roamed around, and they took some pictures, which are all detected. But then what Himanta Vishwa Sharma said very clearly is that even India is looking to revive a 71 air base which is near Tripura. I mean, we will revive that base, and we will ensure that there's pressure on Bangladesh from all sides. Remember, their own political parties in Bangladesh are now demanding elections, and the Yunus government is on its last legs there. In all probability, the army will take over because there'll be violence on the streets. We saw protests yesterday. And surely after that, what is going to happen is that we have got two more chicken necks which we can cut. And I think Himanta Vishwa Sharma made it very clear. Okay, the first one is in the North Bangladesh corridor from Dakin Dinajpur to Southwest Garo Hills. We can cut off the entire Rangapur division from the rest of Bangladesh. The second, which is the most important part of their kind of geography, we are talking of the Chittagong corridor. This is just 28 kilometers in width, so it is smaller than our Siliguri chicken neck. And what happens with that is that when we cut it off, the link between Bangladesh's economic capital, which is Chittagong, and the political capital, which is Dhaka, will get cut off. If you recollect, when India's independence happened, when East Pakistan was created, Chittagong had 70% Hindu population. And ideally, it should have been merged with India. But the British were very smart. They kind of went on with Jinnah's theory, and they allowed Chittagong to remain with them. And that is a problem today. And if you look at it, if you can do that part of it, if ever Chinese or even Bangladesh threatens to cut us off we can do the reverse for them. And more importantly, once you cut off Chittagong, then we have an access to the entire northeast from the sea, and that's an advantage. And also, we are working out with Myanmar to create a road which which goes all the way to Bangkok. That road might even come up to the coastline, and so we're creating a new one. Actually, we're building a sea-based corridor now. It is not a major threat. I think we are getting worked up. The US will not allow the Chinese anywhere near the Bay of Bengal, which is the reason why the US is now moving men and equipment into Myanmar. But they want to create a kind of a situation there where they can take over the Myanmar's regime's operations and create a listening post, or even I suspect a big Air Force base is coming up in northern Myanmar, and one at the tip, at the southern Myanmar, almost near the Indian Ocean. I mean, if you look at the Malacca Straits, it will be very close to the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So the US wants to keep a watch on Chinese from there, the Chinese ships that patrol that area. The Chinese are trying to prevent the ships from coming all the way there by operating from Gwadwar port in Pakistan. They will kind of take over. They have already taken over that port, and they will route their petroleum products from there directly through Pakistan and into China. And that's what they're trying to do. And of course, we know the Baloch Liberation Army has been targeting the Chinese engineers and others working on that road project and even the port project. So it should not be a worry. I think we just getting unnecessarily worked up with this so-called threat from Bangladesh that they will, build the air force base. Let them try. I mean, they are a nation which is broke with capital B. I mean, if you ask me, between Pakistan and Bangladesh, Bangladesh is in more dire straits because Bangladesh doesn't have anything. Okay, they had only the textile business as some kind of business, and they had Hilsa to sell, and beyond that, Bangladesh is nothing. They'll come down. Remember what happened when Maldives, the new president of Maldives, came in with India Out campaign. Today, what every month Maldives comes, somebody senior from Maldives comes and works out a $50 million, a rollover with India and goes back. India Out campaign is over. No, it's India In campaign that is happening there. Something similar will happen with Bangladesh. Sooner or later, they will come crawling to us because they know very well that we are cut off their overland supplies. They cannot export anything through India now. Anything they have to go has to go through the sea, which is very expensive for them. We cut off the yarn supplies. Everything that is happening, we are doing it economically. It is like your Indus Water Treaty. Without firing a single shot, Modi ji simply kind of strangulated Pakistan, and that is exactly what is happening in Bangladesh.
In fact, in yesterday's news, some of the actresses, yesterday actresses, Pakistani actresses, were saying that at the airport there is no water in the washrooms, and they are all facing a very difficult situation in Pakistan. Now, in between all this, since you mentioned Himanta Biswa Sarma, he also said that Gogoi, who's a Congress person, did not go to Pakistan for a holiday. He went there for work. And his wife is also involved very deeply in this association between Pakistan and Congress. So, can you speak a little bit about that, Suresh?
Yeah, I think we all know what Gogoi admitted finally, because before this, when the inquiry was launched by the Himanta Biswa Sharma government, which is supposed to submit the SIT, the Special Investigation Team, which is supposed to submit its report on September 10th, Himanta Biswa Sharma said he will provide more documents on that day to the public because now it is presently with SIT. Because Gaurav Gogoi has now accepted that he went to Pakistan. His wife worked in Pakistan and lived there and even completed a project for 1 year, some project on climate change, which we all know is an ISI creation. So she remained there at ISI's invitation for a year. And before this, Gogo had denied all this, if you recollect. He said, no, 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 my wife just went there for a few days and came back. Now he admits that 14 to 15 years ago, his wife, who's well-known expert in public policy, went on an international project in South Asia on climate change. And he also went there after that to join her. So obviously, we should connect the dots there. And Gaurav Gogoi has a lot of explaining to do. And Himanta Biswa Sharma even challenged him, saying that if what Himanta says is wrong, he will quit politics on that day. He will resign from his post. So he's that confident about the information that he's holding that Gaurav Gogoi, who's now been appointed as the president of the Assam Congress Committee, will have a lot of explanation to do because the elections are coming up. Gaurav Gogoi knows that even in his own constituency in the recent local election, his party was wiped out. So there is very, very less Congress can do unless they tie up with AIUDF or somebody like that, and then try and grab the Muslim votes, which is what Congress always tries to look for. They don't need the Hindu votes, or rather, they won't get the Hindu votes. Even in Assam, the same thing is going to happen. And this is Himanta Biswa Sharma has been repeatedly saying that Gaurav Gogoi's wife, Elizabeth Colborn, has links with Pakistan's ISI. And he's even said that she made 19 trips to Pakistan, 1 9, 19 trips to Pakistan in connection. She met Pakistan army officials and ISI officials there. So obviously, there is some dal mein kuch kala hai, that is for sure, and definitely a lot of explanation. Gaurav Gogoi, he might try. First he denied, now he says yes, she went. So why did he lie in the first place? That is the first question that will come up. And from there on, we'll see a lot of things happening, because the explanation will have to be very, very clear. Otherwise, Gaurav Gogoi, once the special investigation team's report comes out on the 10th of September, then we will know how deep is the connection between Gaurav Gogoi's family and Pakistan's ISI.
Moving on to last point, Sureshi. In an alarming display of Pakistan's growing alignment with extremist elements, senior ministers from both the federal and Punjab provincial governments were seen sharing the stage with some of the country's most wanted terrorists during a recent event commemorating its nuclear tests. The event held on May 28th in Punjab to mark Yom-e-Tahbir has triggered serious international concern. Pakistan's Food Minister Malik Rashid Ahmad Khan and Punjab Assembly Speaker Malik Mohammad Ahmad Khan, both close aides of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, and PMLN leader Maryam Nawaz, were seated alongside Lashkar-e-Taiba linked figures including Saifullah Kasuri, Talha Said, son of Hafiz Said, and Amir Hamza. The gathering saw open glorification of terrorism and implementation.
Out there, getting
Yeah,
disconnected.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Did
you are
you?
asking. Yeah, you are
Yeah.
asking about this particular rally that was held yesterday, and if you ask me, there's nothing surprising about it. Pakistan is a state that sponsors terrorism. Let us be very, very clear about it. Let us be no double standards on that. They have a double standard. They use their army as a frontage. It is not just the people sitting on the stage, of course. It is also the fact that some of the banners that were there at the venue and even outside the venue were all had Pakistan Army chief in it, the so-called field marshal who was there in that. And that is what is the main thing is the field marshal's photograph was shown in some of the banners. See, it reinforces our case, if you ask me. It reinforces our kind of point of view that Pakistan is a state that sponsors terrorism. And openly, the terrorists are sitting openly with the Pakistan cabinet ministers on a stage. And these terrorists are not just terrorists whom India named, they are UN designated terrorist groups. So obviously that strengthens our case. And Pakistan cannot deny, of course, they will always keep denying. They'll say, oh, these are not terrorists. But then they have been named specifically and they are there on the UN list. Some of them are there in the US list of terrorist groups too. The problem is very simple is that these are kind of leaders who can be dispensed with. If Hafiz Said goes, somebody else will come. If he goes, his deputy goes, somebody else will come. The Pahalgam mastermind was also there on stage. And so it is very obvious. So India can now argue a case in the UN 1469 terror watch list that look, these guys are in cahoots with the Pakistan army, and Pakistan army never tries to deny that. The civilian establishment tries to deny it. But the Pakistan army even attends the funerals of terrorists, gets the caskets draped with the Pakistani flag. And Meena, you know for one thing, I mean, I'm sure you know this, that Pakistan army deputes a certain number of its commanders at the major level and somebody even at the brigadier level to train these terrorists. And that day when the bombing happened, two of them who were killed were Pakistani army officers who are actually terrorists by design and terrorists by a so-called uniform. That is why when the funeral was held, the army chiefs were there. We have named them as terrorists, but actually they are Pakistan army officers. That is why the flag was draped on it, not by any other reason. I think the Indian media totally missed that point. There are about more than 30 to 40 Pakistani army officers who are deputed to train this terrorist group. That is where the umbilical cord is there, and they don't shy away from admitting that fact. And I think we India also have to learn the Israel way of dealing with them. Taking out the leadership is the key to it, but hitting the head of the snake is also very important, which is
Absolutely.
what is Iran in case of Israel, and for us it's Pakistan's ISI and the army. Let us not shy away from that. We did a mistake on day one when we bombed only the terrorist hideouts, because we said we don't want to escalate it further. We don't want to hit the army bases. But then what did Pakistan do? They hit our civilian and tried to hit our army bases, which never succeeded. And that is then we had to hit back. Had we done that on day one, then of course we would say that India actually attacked our army camp, but we didn't do that. But Pakistan is very clear. You see Shahbaz Sharif's speeches in Turkey and in even Azerbaijan. He foolishly, I can't understand why I mean, how does the prime minister of this material Pakistan produce such dumb fellows? I don't understand. And in fact, I really appreciate Asaduddin Owaisi's statement that they're jokers. They are jokers who don't know nakal karne ke liye akal chahiye, he said in Urdu, and that is exactly what it is. Pakistan doesn't even know how to copy things. They are so pathetic that they lose a war, and the first war where a lost general who was the war, or whatever we can call it, the 4-day affair, gets promoted to field marshal. Imagine. This is the nation. It's a joke of a country, and I think we should not take them seriously. They will go around the world claiming that they even won every other war with India, including 71. And that is what Pakistan is all about. We should just do our job, continue eliminating the leadership using whatever means it is, that is the terror leadership, and ensure that Pakistan is on the mat sooner or later. They will realize this. They have seen that with the Taliban. They created the Taliban themselves. And what happened today? It's like the Basmasur effect. The Taliban is keep coming back to attack Pakistan through Tehrik-e-Taliban and other organizations. And that is what Pakistan is to learn, that tomorrow these same terrorists will turn against them and they will not know where to hide. And the only thing that will save these politicians is the army, because in Pakistan, army and Allah works. Only two things work in Pakistan.
Perhaps that would explain all the medals, on their uniform. Without winning any war, they
For,
have
for
all the
every every
measures.
for every war lost, they get a medal. Actually, that is what the Pakistan is all about. The Pakistan army itself is a joke, but let's not take them lightly, because
Yes,
see,
absolutely.
when they sponsor terrorists, they're training very highly skilled terrorists. The ones in
Yes,
Pahalgam were in all possibility, two of them were Pakistan Army regular commandos.
yes,
They just kind of on deputation to the to Lashkar-e-Toiba or Jaish-e-Mohammed,
yeah.
and that's what they do. And they've done that in Afghanistan, and that's a lesson which Pakistan has learned very well, how to train this Islamic radicals into terrorists, and they draw out the Russians, and then they draw out the NATO and US, and we know what happened since.
Thank you so much, Suresh. I know you have a very hectic schedule, and
Yeah, I
despite
appreciate.
that, you always come on our channel, and we really appreciate that. Thank
Thank
you.
you very
Good
much.
night.
Thank you very much.
Jai Hind
Jai
and
Hind.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Hind.